Awesome. All right. We make that happen every month for you guys. So for anybody new today, but thank you all for making it. Got a lot of happenings and new events, rolling fast with the Trump administration. We're going to get through that. Today's Ask Us Anything webinar is going to be a little bit different as we're going to be explaining what you need to know to go forward as a gun dealer in America. Okay, there's lots of good positives. There's some negatives if you're in certain blue states. We're going to explain all of that for you because one of those blue state residents might be coming to your store on vacation or just on a business trip and wanting to purchase a firearm ammunition. So we're going to make sure you have all the current updates. All right, so JBJC, I'll have that information up at the end again for anybody who needs to get in contact with us. So what are we going over today? Well, like I said, we're going to spend a lot of time on zero tolerance repealed, the repeal process, anything else going on with Pam Bondi and the ATF. A lot of actually good news. So we're pretty excited about that, as you should be too. We've got 5 smart things for you to go over. Make sure you get the 5 smart tips and tricks for this month. Legal updates, going over those state issues that you need to be aware of, and anything happening at the federal level. Got a little bit of true and false today, and then we also get into our Ask Us Anything. So if you haven't been here before, please be reminded to put your information into the chat room. You got questions, rather, go ahead and drop them in the chat room throughout the event, and we'll get to those at the end. You are all muted, so at the end also during our Q&A, if you feel more comfortable, you can ask your question by pressing that space bar when called on. All right, let's jump right into it. And hey, you remember this guy? Yeah, we like him. That's Kash Patel. And he was filling in for about a month until Daniel Driscoll was appointed last week by the Trump administration. Appointed, not elected, not he's an acting ATF director. He did not get congressional approval, did not have to go through the subcommittee hearings and review process. So we don't know what temporary really means right now. Acting, I'm not sure if there's a duration to that, if there's an expiration. But let's talk a little bit about who Dan Driscoll is. Again, this occurred this week. So first, he's a very, very, we think, experienced and well-rounded individual to be taken on his position. He's a military officer, good service. He's an attorney. He's got good political experience. Served in the U.S. Army and served in Iraq. He holds a JD degree from Yale Law School, rather. We'll get to it in a minute. Why is Dan Driscoll on this picture today? Well, I think we know why. He has experience in private sector, including recently working in an investment banking area. So he and Mr. Trump should have great conversations on what's good for our country and our industry. He's also has political experience and was advisor to J.D. Vance. Oh, wait a minute. Who's that? That's our young vice president. I think most of us have given J.D. Vance a good thumbs up. And as it has, J.D. Vance also went to Yale Law School. So, hey, we like Yale Law School today. Maybe that's where these fellows met. He was also confirmed as a 26th United States Secretary of the Army. That's new from, again, the administration. So Daniel Driscoll is wearing a few hats, playing a few different roles right now. He is a Republican. We like that. He is supported and reviewed by the NSSF, who have given him a thumbs up on this nomination and appointment. So very excited about that. And that's all we know about Dan. But who's this guy? Well, if you saw Marvin Richardson anytime over the last 30 years, whether it be a SHOT Show or at other ATF speaking engagements or events, Marvin was always the number 2 and has been the number 2 for a long time, acting director, fill-in guy under several administrations. Well, the current administration didn't think he was necessary anymore, and Marvin decided to retire this week. So good for Marvin. We wish him well. We enjoyed working with Marvin over the years, but like I said, he probably wasn't a right fit going forward. And Dan Driscoll is our man. So that's all we know about Dan. I mean, you can ask questions at the end. There's not a lot of positive or negative information other than what we've already exposed and delivered regarding Mr. Driscoll, but we think he's a good supporter and fine person to support Trump's Second Amendment agenda. So let's keep our fingers crossed there. All right, we're going to jump into zero tolerance and everything you need to know about the repeal process, what it means going forward, what's changing, what's not, what's staying the same, what's coming back, and what's different. So let's get into it. So first of all, the repeal, as you've heard in the news and a lot of people have been talking about it, is confirmed. It's there. It's done. No second guessing. No going backwards. The repeal signals a shift toward a more discretionary approach in ATF enforcement. Again, this repeal has been finalized by the Department of Justice. The previous policy strictness led to concerns about FFLs facing severe penalties for minor clerical errors. That was the big issue, guys. You were one and done in a lot of cases, especially those who were impacted early on with zero tolerance. It was new for us, new for you, new for the industry, new for the ATF. I mean, implementation was fast and furious early in 2021. Then it leveled off and it kind of became more tolerable. We kind of understood it as years passed, but it is gone. Okay, we're going to take a step backwards and go back to how things were for the most part prior to the Biden administration. The new approach aims at distinguishing between unintentional errors. This is the big terminology. Unintentional errors and willful violations. We're going to get more into what this whole willful thing means and how to interpret it, and how you can't hide behind it. You can't hide in front of it. Can't hide behind it. Willful needs to be clearly understood by gun dealers going forward. But at the end of the day, the ATF has to go back to proving that the FFL intentionally violated the law, not by accident, not through human error, because of training. Human error takes on a whole different meaning too. People who have been on board and trained and experienced and working at the FFL for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, who have done 100 or more transfers, there's not going to be an excuse for human error in those cases. Human errors will really more fall on the person who just got trained or just got started, has been here 2 weeks or 30 days, has only done 1 or 2 transfers and made some mistakes, but is being coached and counseled, and there's documentation for same. That's human error. So we have to be really, really careful with this going forward. Okay, the IOIs, our inspection process, is intended to consider the facts and circumstances of each and every violation that is identified during the inspection and listed on your report of violations. You're not going to have less violations. You're still going to have violations, but we hope for less. They certainly cannot be intentional. They cannot be completed by veteran employees. So in deciding every one of these, as we have, in our practice through the revocation process and zero tolerance, as many of you know, when we sit with you in the closing conferences, you have to talk about each and every violation listed on the report, how it happened, how it occurred, who did it, why it occurred, how it's not going to happen in the future, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to be able to say these were unintentional, these were completed by new people, to get over this hurdle. Okay, the whole new process allows for greater flexibility within the inspection process. Yeah, we've been talking to a lot of you, and we've seen a great increase in inspections in the last month or two. They're out there, they're inspecting. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But we're also seeing the ATF approach as being, let's say, more gentle, more consoling, more understanding than it was, simply 3 or 4 months ago. So that's all very positive. So don't be shocked by that. But remember, as we say in the past, the ATF is not your friend. It's, they're friendly, but they're not your friend. So let's expect friendly as they come to visit. Right before the call, we had one start right over in Wisconsin, of all places. So already, got inspections going on in places we usually don't see them. And they're still going after those FFLs who have not been inspected in 10 years or more. We know that's still a strategy. That's important for the interest of public safety. So if you're out there with inspection lags of 10 years or more, get ready. And also, obviously, folks with a lot of traces. We're not going to spend much time on that today, but if you have a lot of traces, you're on the Demand 2 program, there's a great chance you'll have regular ongoing inspections in the interest of public safety. The administration's actions reflect a prioritization of the Second Amendment rights. I mean, that's what Mr. Trump promised, while he was out there, soliciting our votes. And he's following through, okay, with claims that the previous policy placed an undue burden on the industry, on gun dealers, and on citizens. And one thing we're going to get into is this whole Office of Gun Violence Prevention and Protection. Although we're talking a lot about this right now at the federal level, JC is going to get into it later, how those offices are still in existence at the state level in many places, although it has been closed here in Washington, D.C. The Office of Gun Violence Protection, remember that? Gun Violence Prevention, rather. So generally, a key component of this policy change is a differentiation between clerical errors and major violations. We used to call these deadly sins. We're going to get to those in a minute. Those deadly sins are not going away. Maybe we'll change the vernacular a little bit. Maybe we'll call them something else and get back to major violations, but they are very concerning and should always be on the top of your list for training and awareness. Whereas before, clerical errors could cause an FFL to lose its license, now only the major violations will cause this in any immediate situation. Again, we'll discuss later if there's how many violations can I have, how many minors, how many majors. Well, again, that's not fully described in any documentation, but we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. Warning letters and warning conferences. All right, if you've had any of these in the past, they still stick. They're there. They're in place. They are forever. They do not get erased from your license. You do not become a good boy after a certain amount of time in the eyes of the ATF. You become a watch candidate. They watch you forever once you get into that warning letter or warning conference situation. That means you are one step away from revocation and you are always under scrutiny. They're still very serious, and your entire staff needs to be aware that you guys are in a warning status if you have ever received a letter or attended a conference. Repeat violations will result in can result in a revocation. We've talked about this forever. That cannot be changed as part of the Gun Control Act, as part of the ATF Directive and requirements for inspections and adverse action. This is all in writing. Repeat violations are still a major concern on any future inspections. And failure to meet your warning conference or warning letter commitments that you made. Maybe you created and had discussions about a corrective action plan when you met with the ATF after a poor inspection result, and you had to create that corrective action plan, or at least discuss the things you were going to do differently going forward to be better at what your requirements were for being an FFL. Failure to meet your commitments on the next future inspection will go ahead and probably result in the next step of adverse action, which is willful negligence and hence a notice of surrender or revocation. Criminal activity can result in a revocation. That's, we shouldn't have to put that on this list, but we don't want to make believe it's not happening. If you're found to be criminally liable for any wrongdoing, intentionally selling guns to prohibited people, selling guns without a background check, selling guns without a 4473, etc., not adhering to the criminal side of the requirements, you will certainly not only lose your license, but you'll probably wind up in jail. All right, we don't want you to go there either. All right, inspection results. What are willful violations? Let's first get a better understanding of willful. It is intended, the concept of willful is intended to differentiate between intentional or recklessly indifferent behavior. Okay, those two go together here. Recklessly indifferent behavior means you had the rules, you should have known the rules, you attended training, you were trained, but you still decided not to do something correctly. And versus unintentional errors. Okay, we kind of went through that a little bit. Unintentional errors, there's no formal list of those, but you need to be able to explain whether something was truly unintentional or just disregard for the requirements and the rules. The ATF generally aims to work with FFLs to correct non-willful violations. As I've said, they're back to training and offering guidance when they are inspecting you and finding errors and digging into it with who and why and when. Okay. Versus the willful violation act committed with a knowing disregard of legal obligations, or a plain indifference to those obligations, going beyond simple mistakes and potentially leading to significant enforcement actions, including license revocation. All right, I think we're beating this thing to death, but anyway, it's important. Kind of going back to where we were before Biden, but there's still critical factors you need to be aware of. Don't think the next inspection is going to be easy. All right. We still have the same list of willful violations that we formerly called deadly sins. Okay, we're kind of replacing the deadly sins terminology and title because it's not mentioned in the new Trump administration. It was a Biden era program and conversation, so we're getting away from it. But let's get back to these willful violations and major violations that you can get in real trouble with. I mean, here's the list, and it's the same old stuff: transferring a prohibited person, not completing a background check correctly, missing some of the information in box 27, not having a NICS control number, falsifying records, failing to respond to a trace, refusing an inspection, failing to verify and document buyer eligibility. That's all about the ID, having proper photo ID that's unexpired and required and permissible in your state, and any additional information for box 26B for address or name verification. Accepting out-of-state CHLs or LTCs for exemptions. Remember, you can't do that. Still can't do that. Missing inventory records, all right, or incomplete inventory records. Not logging in and out, due to the requirement as per the requirements. How about missing inventory? I'm missing a gun. You didn't know a gun was missing. You didn't report it. That's still a very bad issue. Brady date failures, meaning your delay date, 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, whatever it might be in your state, and for the federal government. Transferring over 31 days, still bad. Not reporting your multiple firearm reports, and conspiracy to complete a straw purchase. All of those are still going to wind up in the major category, and you can go right past that warning conference or warning letter and go right to revocation with any of these such failures. So again, the list hasn't changed much, just called a different name, but make sure your staff is still on top of anything they can do to prevent a major error. JC, questions already coming in. I guess you got a bunch of these too. Can a FFL who got revoked or surrendered their FFL reapply?
Yeah, let's just talk through this real quick, okay? So the enforcement orders that were put in place by Biden, that's where that zero tolerance. They offered no latitude to the field divisions, all right? That has gone away, but understand one thing. If you received a warning letter, received a warning conference, or if you're getting inspected and it's not going well, there are certain things, and JB had the list up there, that you have to avoid as an FFL. These are key violations that negatively influence public safety. That's what it is. We are told, and we are waiting for more information on this, that FFLs, that let's start with those that are still on the track, right? They're still awaiting a revocation hearing. They received the revocation paperwork. They requested a hearing. Those FFLs are a priority because guidance needs to be given to the field divisions on how to handle that. It'll all depend on the situation, and we need to look at that situation to make a determination as to, number one, whether or not the revocation hearing will go through. All right? That's first. That's going to be a priority because those have been sitting out there for a few months now. Almost all of them that we were supporting FFLs with were scheduled, and we just received word a couple, 2-3 weeks prior that the hearing is delayed until they get more direction. So those will be the priority. If you have received a notice of revocation and requested that hearing, but it was postponed, please reach out to us. We'll take a look at your situation on an individual basis to make a determination as to whether or not the revocation hearing is still likely, or if in our opinion, we feel pretty confident that potentially you could be looking at just a warning conference. Either way, you need to be prepared for that. For those of you that were revoked or surrendered in lieu of revocation, I am told that those will also be reviewed. We'll see where that goes. Again, if you were revoked or surrendered in lieu of revocation, to give you any type of insight, it would require me to review what happened with you. I'm told that if it's a minor infraction, a minor issue, for instance, you transferred a firearm over 30 days, right? Expiration of the NICS, expiration of the background check, control number, whatever, and you were revoked, chances are you'll be able to reapply. I would anticipate that if you do reapply and you were revoked, you will more than likely have a sit down potentially, or at least some sort of conversation with the ATF, just to, an understanding as to what your compliance action plan is going forward to avoid whatever violations you were cited for. Again, we provide support in that. We do it day in and day out. We do it for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. We work with a number of practice partners in the industry as well. So all of this comes down to this. We need to take a look at things to make a determination of the likelihood. Now, I will tell those of you that experienced multiple warning conferences or multiple warning letters or both over the course of time, and things just didn't get better. I would tell you with those, I would come in very strong with a compliance action plan and with a plan overall of how you are going to improve and how you are going to ensure lawful commerce in firearms. We can help with that. If you'd like to reach out to us, we'll be happy to talk to you. What we see from all of this is going to be that repeal of the zero tolerance, and we're waiting for a new enforcement order to be handed down from headquarters ATF to the field to make a determination of how much latitude, how much discretion is going to be given to the field divisions. That's in process right now. We're waiting to see what happens. So keep all that in mind. If you want to schedule time with us to go over your situation, please reach out to us via email. JB will put that slide up a little later, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it and gain an understanding of where you are. The biggest thing in preparedness for any conversation, whether it's with us to basically vet your possibilities, the probability of you receiving a new license, or if you're getting ready to have a conversation with the ATF, is to pull together your inspection history and have those documents prepared, because those will need to be reviewed to make a determination of what direction or what opportunities, what possibilities exist for you. So hopefully you kept your reports of violations or any warning letters, warning conferences, compliance action plans you presented to put those forward and have a conversation. JB?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you done with that part?
Yep. I think I beat that to death.
Yeah. Just another final slide here. Piece on the slide is anybody going through that process with the JC's talked about is definitely going to have to restart from scratch on reapplication if in fact you have surrendered your license. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And keep in mind too, just one additional piece, JB. Keep in mind as well, if you went through the revocation process and you were able to keep your license, but you have not experienced a recall inspection, I fully anticipate you still will have to go through a recall inspection. So you better be prepared. They will come out and they will ensure that you're doing, number one, everything you said you were going to do during that revocation hearing, but you've improved or there are absolutely zero violations. They want to see improvement up to and included no willful, no citable violations. So just keep that in mind. I'll talk about the Rifle Act real quick. reining in federal licensing enforcement. This is currently in committee. We don't know what the final act will look like. Obviously, it's the first draft and it's going through, I think it was in the Finance Committee. Here's what we anticipate from Rifle. We anticipate some boundaries to be handed down as to a new definition of willful, how to apply the law, it should be considered for revocation, etc. So remains to be seen. Keep an eye on this. We'll certainly keep you informed on what we know about this. Again, this is just getting into committee, so a lot can change from the original text. There's no guarantee of automatic approval for this. It's got to go through the House. It's got to go through the Senate. And like I said, there's going to be a bunch of changes. So don't forget, we have the capability of offering you a number of different pathways to get us in your doors to help you take a look at your processes, take a look at how you're conducting business, to help you improve and to ensure that you're going to get through that next inspection no matter what. We've got a ton of upcoming webinars coming up with the National Shooting Sports Foundation. We're also going to be doing a webinar here soon with Davidson's. And in addition, we're going to be down at the Range Retailer Expo, which we've got a slide on here in a little bit, talking about all this as well. So, stay tuned. Reach out if you have questions. We're happy to help and answer any questions you may have. There's a lot coming at you, so definitely stay tuned.
Cool. Seriously. All right, let's jump into Pam Bondi's Second Amendment Task Force. Again, a lot of stuff in the last 2 weeks. This woman is hard and fast at work. So what is this whole task force all about? Well, it's, again, going along with the executive order. Its objectives are to develop and implement strategies through litigation and policy to advance, protect, and ensure compliance with the Second Amendment. That's her quote. And she's on the right track. I mean, she's going after almost everything. And we didn't expect it in 30 days. We didn't know what to expect in 30 days. So it was interesting to see, what did come out. We knew it was a little late. The NSSF as well was kind of tapping her on the shoulder saying, hey, what can we tell our industry members? So here we are. This is actually good news. And you'll see that just here on this and next slide or two. So the task force is aiming to counteract what was perceived as undue burdens placed on gun owners in the industry. The administration is reviewing other ATF regulations, including those related to stabilizing braces, the ruling for engaged in the business of firearms dealings. I think there's others. I mean, making sure we never go back to bump stock restrictions and forced reset trigger restrictions. And there's probably some others out there I'm forgetting, JC, but everything's on the plate. Everything's in her box of things to do. So we know it's not going to be an overnight, 1 week or even a 30-day decision, but slowly, and we'll keep you up to date monthly on to what occurrences are actually being finalized. That's the big thing, is finalized. Forget about all this internet rhetoric you hear day by day. I mean, there's so much out there, it can get you nutty and confused. And I know you guys keep calling us when you hear something with one of these internet experts telling you something, but unless we confirm it with both the NSSF and ATF and the attorneys, we don't put it out there. So stay tuned for more as everything develops. The task force is the Alphabet City here: DOJ, ATF, FBI, and they're all connected now. As you know, they're not segregated, and they have credibility and belief. We are very faithful and hopeful that everything they do under Pam Bondi is going to be in the interest of the industry and the 2A citizen and the Constitution, of course. The task force is implementing Executive Order 14206 as general as it was. It's giving them great latitude to go in so many different directions, and it's almost better that I wasn't very specific out of the box. It lets them wander into different areas. It lets them pursue different issues that are occurring, whether it be at the state level, at the judge level, at the district level, et cetera, et cetera. So, and hopefully Congress is behind them as well. We've got 2 years to less than 2 years now to get our House to vote correctly on anything they push forward. So we're really hopeful that happens within the next 8 to 10 months. Any other great new activities that they can be decided by the Congress and hopefully put into law or change the laws that exist today. All right, it involves reviewing and potentially revising existing regulations, like I said, that are seen as infringing on those rights. So, yeah, Congress can hopefully, take a look at the Gun Control Act and see, and the NFA Act and see if there's anything that should be changed. I guess you're right there. We should start seeing questions about silencers in our chat room here. I don't know if you're keeping track, JC, but again, if you guys have questions, drop those questions into the chat room and we'll get to them at the end here. The task force would also focus on litigation in order to protect and advance the Second Amendment rights, again, for the industry and for the citizen. So very, very positive, guys. Again, if you voted for Donald Trump and his A team, as we see it, look at all that's been done already based on the executive order. We're still rolling back some of the Biden era policies that I mentioned. And the big issue at the bottom of this list is review state laws and restrictions and how they're in conflict with, whether it be the NFA or GCA or the ATF. That's a big, big black hole. And hopefully this administration can get traction in that area and the Supreme Court can be brought in and cases can be heard and we can have new, hopefully case precedents set, case law. So there's a whole lot we need done in the next year or two. Stay positive, stay supportive of your organizations that protect our rights as gun dealers. So again, if you voted for Donald Trump, thank you for your vote. He thanks you, we thank you. All right, that was a lot to absorb regarding government relations and government updates, but we'll keep you updated monthly as we find progress in any of these areas. We don't have inspection results, as I note down there. JC, you may have said it, but I don't think the ATF is permitted, I guess, or has permission to do what they want to do until somebody tells them what to do now. Is that correct?
Essentially, they are handling dissemination of information and participation in certain things on a case by case basis. So if they have to seek approval prior to participating in webinars, they have to seek approval prior to disseminating information publicly, etc. So, remains to be seen. I'm kind of keeping my thumb on it and trying to push and get information, get intelligence to provide to the industry, as is our friends at the National Shooting Sports Foundation. It's really a day by day basis.
Yeah, so these inspections, I said, the yellow was the states with high volume back in December. The red are states with high volume now that we've been seeing over the last month or two, just through conversation from all of you and NSSF and others. Definitely, if you're in any of those states with a colored dot in there, hey, download our prepare for your next inspection guide from our website. Find it under the tools and resources tab. We've made some minor updates to that, and a lot hasn't changed. But go, if you haven't looked at it in a year, go grab it, download it, print it, share it with your team, and get inspection ready so you're ready every day. All right, 5 smart things every FFL should do for April 2025. What do we got? Number 1, dedicate time to previewing 4473s in your bound book as soon as ATF inspections are announced. And I just had this conversation literally 15 minutes before this call, before this webinar, with ATF showed up. They walked in. We ran through the drill. The client called me. The FFL called, said, "Hey, they're here. It's been over 10 years." We went through a quick checklist verbally, and I said, "Go download our guide." They said, "We already have it. We looked at it last month. We'll pull it out." And I said, "What are you doing tonight?" They said, "We're doing a preview party. We're going to look at everything they don't look at today so we can make sure any corrections are legally updated and made before they look at it tomorrow." Yes, you have to do that. We have others we give the same advice to that have called and they've said, "Well, it is what it is. I can't do much tonight after they leave. I can't work late. I have things to do. I promised my wife to go to whatever." And, ATF walks in tomorrow and they find errors that could have been fixed or corrected or updated legally. So, hey, don't disregard or dismiss this strategy and this advice. We will give you 100% of the time if you call us and say the ATF just showed up. All right, number two, conduct quarterly firearms inventories and focus on those serial numbers. If there's one thing critical about your bound book, it is the serial number is the most important piece of that bound book and that firearm. Make sure it's correct and accurate, and that is what the ATF will continue to stick you on, is that serial number not being correct. We know there's importer manufacturer issues and models and what's a shockwave, but hey, that serial number is the most important. Make sure you're doing inventories and doing them regularly. Require a double or triple check on each 4473 prior to every firearm transfer. Yeah, you got to do it before the transfer. Put your initials in box 32. Show the ATF, provide evidence they have a valid program in place. Someone is looking at the form and you're doing your best to get it right first time when you do that firearm 4473. Require every employee to get certified. Hey, we've got this out there. We just looked. JC asked me this morning, he goes, how many students we got? We have over 2,300 students that have signed up and taken. I can't count the tests. I think there's 13,000 tests that have been taken, and certifications that have been printed and downloaded and saved for your employees to get it right the first time, get better at what you do, make sure you know what compliance is all about, and your employees, especially new hires, hey, get them on the program, get them signed up. It's free, it's easy. Just go to our website. We made this easier for you. You don't have to go to the training site website. Just go to our main website, fflconsultants.com. And right there at the top of the screen, you can't miss it. Enroll now. Just hit that button. It takes you right into the training site. And you get started right there. So go ahead and do that. And then number five, owners, managers, RPs, you all play an active role in reviewing your paperwork and processes. Don't be caught being in a, JC, what's the term you have? An absentee owner? Is that or
Absentee owner. Get involved, get engaged, know what's going on in your day to day. A lot of you that we have a ton of FFLs that, the owners are absent. They're not involved in the day to day operations and they never adjust for those reasons. But if you are an absentee owner, at least be engaged enough to know that either A, you need to be checking up on things, or B, you need to be working through us to help you with that process to ensure that operations are running smoothly, you're conducting lawful commerce in firearms, you're doing things right every day, getting your people the training and the answers they need on a day to day basis.
cool. Excellent.
Yep.
All right. All right, guys. Okay, take a deep breath. You're going to go deep dive into Colorado state laws, which affect all of you, okay? Because at any given day, on any given time, a Colorado resident can walk into your store to buy whether it be an AR or a shotgun or a rifle, and you're going to have to know all of this. I hate to say it. And yes, we'll cover it and provide guidance on our restricted states guide, which we'll talk about in a minute. But hey, let's run through the Colorado legal updates because also this can come to a state near you. Yes, unfortunately, Colorado's all blue now, the House and the Senate. So we're under some real scrutiny here by folks who don't like the Second Amendment, and a lot is changing very fast. So for all of you Colorado FFLs, please pay special attention. We've put a lot of work into this for you. But again, this is being replicated by other blue states around the country as we speak. We'll also be reviewing that as we talk. But please plug in your questions into the chat room as I walk through this. Okay, the first big bill and we're going to go in order of priority and effective dates. So the first big bill was Bill 1349. We talked about that on the last few webinars. It is the Colorado excise tax on firearms and ammunition. Hopefully everyone in Colorado is registered by now, because if you're not, you're in trouble. You cannot be conducting firearm sales of ammunition or firearms or precursor parts without charging the respective tax. And to do so, you have to be registered with the Department of Revenue, respectively. There's your information if you are a Colorado resident, a Colorado-based FFL. If you're an FFL conducting business with customers from Colorado, you are also required to adhere to this new law. Again, it's a law, it's not an idea or a program. But you, outside of Colorado, you do not have to register and participate unless you are providing more than $20,000 worth of ammunition parts or firearms to residents, either as walk-in customers where you are. So you might have residents, you might be local to Colorado, you might be Arizona, you might be Kansas, might be Wyoming, and have Colorado residents walking into your store to buy their firearms or ammunition, or you may be shipping into Colorado. Again, you are required to manage through this process, be registered, and pay your taxes respectively, and unfortunately charge us 6.5% excise tax. All right, not good, but there's all the information. If you have more requests on how to manage through this, or if you're outside of Colorado and approaching that 20,000 mark, let us know, give us a call. We have no idea. People are asking us, and we don't know because we talk to the DOR, the Department of Revenue, but we don't work with them or for them. We have no idea how they're going to manage this, audit it, and track it, and find you in violation of it if you're outside of the state of Colorado. Now, if you're inside the state of Colorado, obviously you're subject to all types of inspections and state tax audits, et cetera. So, and there's a future licensing law. We're going to go over it in just a minute. So they will know if you're inside Colorado, not registered, not collecting tax, or not reporting tax, and not paying tax. It's going to be a challenge. All right. Next up on the docket for Colorado, Colorado's 241353. All right, this is a state firearm dealer licensing and security requirements law. Okay, it's effective coming this July 1st. The initial parts get implemented and are required. The key components for this beginning in July. Again, this is just Colorado dealers, but again, may be coming to your state if you're a blue state, because all they're doing is copying and pasting from one state to another. They started with California, but if in our JC and I even agree that Colorado is probably more stringent than the dealer component of the laws, even for California dealers. So this is pretty restrictive. So beginning July 1st, all firearm dealers in Colorado must obtain a state permit from the Department of Revenue to operate legally. Operating without permits, an unclassified felony with a potential fine of up to $250,000. Those applying for a certification or license in Colorado they must be an FFL. They cannot have had any revocations in the prior 3 years, and no prior gun law violations, whatever that means. They're not specific in that one. The application process and fees is basically $400 to be a gun dealer starting July 1st. Fees can go up after June 30th of 2026, or about a year from now. So we don't know if there's no restrictions on that fee going up. So is this a way to drive gun dealers out of business in Colorado? We think so, obviously. Employee background checks are required, including fingerprinting every 3 years and initially. And then the security measures for securing your guns during hours, after hours, when not actively attended by an FFL or employee. Very strict requirements. So a lot of gun dealers are having to spend lots of money right now retrofitting their stores and locations with approved security and locking devices. Again, if you're in Colorado, give us a call on any more details, but we're just letting you know how bad this is if you're working in or around Colorado. Now, the key components to the program, just going to list these quickly for you. Oops, go back. Training requirements: dealers and employees must complete the annual safety training, firearm safety training, annually. Every year, go through a course, get a certification that says you passed the test. And thankfully, we were in early on this and helped kind of mold and model the process. So we were given the opportunity to help create this program for Colorado FFLs. So every employee, if you're out there listening, jump on our website. I'll show you the link in a minute. Again, you go out to our regular website and get into our academy. We have it out there. It's also available off the Department of Revenue website. But it is good training. I mean, it's extensive training to make sure you do this right and don't get your license pulled in the future. This isn't the FFL license. This is the state of Colorado gun license. Operational restrictions. Again, guns are prohibited from being outside, sales outside of posted business hours. So you got to be careful if you're doing gun shows or if you're closed on a certain day, and still conduct business. So if your hours aren't updated correctly with the Department of Revenue or the ATF, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of calls on that. Sales to individuals known as suspected under the influence of a controlled substance or alcohol is going to be highly regulated and monitored. I should have said this in the beginning. The state is developing a team of inspectors, obviously, to go out and perform all the compliance to all of these requirements, like they did with the cannabis industry when they rolled out all of the regulation for cannabis. It's all controlled under the same umbrella agency, Department of Revenue. So they're really good at this. Whether it be taxes, guns, cannabis, liquor, they're good at monitoring and collecting what they need to collect. Reporting requirements. Dealers must report any known or suspected employee involvement in firearm theft to law enforcement within 48 hours. We have not seen that anywhere across the country. Now, if in Colorado, if one of your employees is involved in the theft of one of your firearms in any way, you've got to call the police. You're mandated to. You don't have to call the ATF, but you have to call it. You can call the ATF for missing firearms, stolen firearms, missing from inventory, burglaries, but you never had to talk about the employee. That's a state requirement. Inspections, again, the Department of Revenues is going to have a team mandated to inspect at least 10% of permit holders annually. And again, they're good at this. They do it with the other industries in the state. They run out and they conduct inspections. We do not have any format to that inspection. We do not know what it looks like or what it will entail. We do not know if they're going to have access to 4473s at this point. I think that's still an issue being discussed between the state and the feds. So as soon as we have any more information on this, we will try to disseminate it timely. And then violations of these requirements can result in penalties, as I said, felonies and severe financial fines. So pretty tough. All right. We talked about the training. It's the training and the license application is open now. If you're in the state of Colorado and you want to get ahead of it, go to the department or go to the firearm dealer FDD. Oh, what is that, JC? Do you know the acronym?
Firearm Dealer Division,
Oh, it's
FTD.
firearm, yeah, the FDD website.
Yeah.
You can also go to Department of Revenue and click on firearms, which will get you over to the
Right.
FDD website.
Right.
But there is your licensing application, the requirements, the timing on everything. So again, get ahead of that, get your application in. But as soon as that application and your fingerprints get submitted for state of Colorado FFLs who are continuing business and you want to go do this and pay the tax, and because Colorado residents need to buy guns, we know that, and they need to buy ammunition. That part will continue. You may be the best gun dealer in your neighborhood because everybody else will close down if they don't want to do this, but you can. Go fill out your application, get your fingerprints, get your background checks done, and then you have to get your training done. All right, again, go out to our website. We'll put that up in a minute. And more information for all of this is down there under sbg.colorado.gov Firearms Dealer Division. That's where you go for the FDD site. Okay. More information on the training is available on our site, but it covers everything soup to nuts. It doesn't get deeply in depth about all of the 4473 requirements, but we have a separate course there on our academy that can help all gun dealers understand that. That was not required by the state to go as deep as we do, but why not go deep to understand everything and prevent future failures? All right, so this is your responsibilities. As a dealer in Colorado, must complete your training within 30 days of the permit issuance. Employee requirements must complete their training and get their certificate printed to be presented to inspectors within 30 days of starting. And then the new dealer is required to maintain training records for each employee and make them available for inspection by the Department of Revenue. All right, a lot of work, guys. But if you can figure out how to continue being a gun dealer in Colorado, you can have a good business. All right. All right, there's our website again. You can get access to it either at the Department of Revenue or directly off our main webpage, fflconsultants.com. All right. This is the big one everyone's talking about. If you're not a dealer, this is where this affects every gun dealer in America selling guns to Colorado residents. It's called SB 003. You may have heard it. It's 25-003. It was passed 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, by our governor, he did sign off on it. It is effective. The good news is it's effective a year from August, but it's a ban on all semi-automatic firearms and rapid-fire devices. JC, you want to talk a little bit through this one?
Yeah, so I actually still have the act pulled up here, and there's been some confusion about what a gas operated semi-automatic firearm is. Essentially, when you look at the actual act and the definitions, essentially everything's semi-automatic. It doesn't matter if it's operating, how it's gas operated, etc. As most of us, immediately when somebody says gas operated, you think AR platform rifle. That's not the case. The definition breaks it down in a lot more detail in the actual act. So the bottom line is, and obviously this is going to go through litigation probably quite extensively over the next few years by multitude of the different industry associations. But the bottom line is there are going to be severe restrictions on semi-automatics and how you can obtain a semi-automatic firearm. So bolt actions, things like that. For those of you out of state, you're going to have to be very careful with this. Essentially, it's going to go to a point where it's going to become very difficult for you to decipher and differentiate between everything. So right now, it is semi-automatic, so pump action shotguns and bolt action rifles. Your atypical hunting, or I'm sorry, excuse me, your typical hunting rifle will not fall into this realm, but obviously remains to be seen where this goes, but just know that all semi-automatic firearms fall under the definition in the act.
Yeah, thankfully they didn't do what California and Washington did, which that simply said you can't, our citizens can't buy guns outside the state.
Yeah.
And they had
Yeah,
the same.
they certainly tried to.
Yeah, they did. They certainly had to have in those states, again, blue states have these similar restrictions. But we get calls from Washington State. A lot of you guys are on the call today. Is a semi-automatic shotgun restricted in Washington State? Well, then you got to dive deep into the difference between what's classified as semi-automatic, gas-operated, shotgun, pump shotgun. I mean, this stuff gets really crazy. So we will do our best to update, keep you updated on a restricted states guide. Because I fly all over the country. I buy guns. I look at guns in other states. I want them shipped back to my place where I live. I want to maybe buy a long gun, whatever. That's going to happen to all of you, and you need to know what to do and not to do. So we'll get that information out to you. Again, I'm sorry, that most of what we're talking about regarding licensing and gun dealer certification is July 1st. This SB3 is going into effect a year from August 1st. So we got plenty of time, but this is going to be the talk of the town, whether it be legislation, a GOA, or all the lobby groups. And a lot of you already put it in chat room. How do we get other organizations involved in repealing this or arguing it or litigating it? Well, that's all down the road. So, but hey, enough on Colorado. Let's move over to Oregon. Ballot measure 114, as we've been talking about for almost 2 years now, went dormant for 2 years because of some favorable judges that we're very happy with. But as of March 12th, this is reinstated. And it's basically requiring a permit to purchase on firearms. It's also restricting magazines to 10 rounds of ammunition. This is going to be a real hurdle for all the FFLs up in Oregon who didn't know this is coming. But the good news is it's still pending legislation. We thought it was supposed to break this week. We checked as recently as Friday and Saturday, and there's nothing out there talking about it. So it's not enforced yet, but keep your ear to the ground if you're an Oregon FFL. And again, if you're in those neighboring states where Oregon residents can purchase firearms, you need to abide by those restrictions as well. So an Oregon resident can't walk into, maybe will not be able to walk into Idaho next week to buy an AR. So we got to figure that out. So stay tuned. Washington State. Yeah, you guys, here we are. We talk about Washington State all the time. House Bill 1163. Again, a proposed permit to purchase situation, very similar to what Colorado has approved for next year. It passed the House, now it's going to the Senate. To get the permit applications, need to complete a certified firearms training safety program, 8 to 12 hours, pass a background check, pass a live fire test, etc., a range test. So the good news is, as it's written, it wouldn't take effect till November of next year. So that's even further out than Colorado. But the good news is, and we're hopeful that it doesn't happen, but they're waiting on Omnibus Appropriations Act to approve the financing to implement and manage this entire process. Well, otherwise it's going to be null and void. And we said the same thing about Colorado. We were hoping for that at the last minute, but at the last minute, the politicians in Colorado decided to take money away from programs that would support and um, uh, probably prosper outdoor life and activities and wildlife and fishing and hunting sports, etc., in the state of Colorado, and they moved all that money over to manage and support the gun control programs that they're putting in place. Go figure. So this one's going to be one to watch. We'll keep you guys updated on that. And there's other legislation, like I said, if you're a blue state, this is coming your way. All of this, New Mexico, rather, Rhode Island. They're looking at an AR ban, a semi-automatic ban in New Mexico, which already went through some very severe, strict compliance programs for purchasing guns this year. And then Rhode Island is also looking to ban ARs. So who's next? All right, drop those questions in the chat box. Restricted states guide, yay, finally, guys. You can imagine why it's been so hard to try to get this revised for you. I think last revision was December. But all of these states with a red marking have some type of restriction you need to know about if a customer walks in to purchase ammunition or firearms in your place of business, or if you're shipping firearms, ammunition to one of these customers in one of these states. Even though you're going through FFLs in those respective states, typically, you have to be careful because you don't want those guns getting returned to you, canceled because they're restricted, not permitted, etc. And then you're paying shipping fees or making refunds to customers you didn't want to make refunds to. So we think this restricted states guide is a great way to prevent lost sales and refunds. And obviously, we don't want you to incur violations. And here's what we also did for you. A lot of you asked us to create a cheat sheet, so we did that. And it's a two-pager. It couldn't fit everything on one page, but it highlights the basic type of restriction or item you need to know about for their respective state when you are dealing with a customer from out of town, from out of your state regarding ammunition or firearms. This will be available on our website on the Forms and Tools page as of tomorrow, April 15th, tax day. We will be sending this out to you as well with the replay from today's webinar. We'll send this out to you directly, but if you ever need it in the future, it's always housed out on our Forms and Tools page at fflconsultants.com. So again, we are not attorneys, right? The reason we don't have it to you today, it's under legal review right now, just to make sure we're good at what we do. So our attorneys obviously are protecting us. So as soon as we get that, we expect that back today and pushed out to all of you tomorrow. All right, JC, where are we going?
We are going all over the place. May, we've got Prescott, Arizona, and Tucson during the week of May 20th. And then in June, we're going to Springfield, Missouri, Wichita, Kansas. July, we're going to be in Columbus, Ohio, and Indianapolis, Indiana. And in addition, I think the next slide, JB.
Oh, we've got all those. Wait, I've got all the pawnbroker things going. Let's see. We got.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I got Pacific Northwest, I think, next week. Yeah, like in 10 days. See
Yeah.
you guys up there. NPA in July. All your pawnbrokers going to NPA in Atlanta. See you there. Dixie in September over in Orange Beach, Florida. And then we got the NSSF Retailer Range Expo in July, JC.
Yeah, that will be in July as well, down in West Palm Beach, Florida. If you're thinking about getting into the business, you're thinking about growing your business, you're thinking about adding a range, you just want to, learn some more. A lot of great content at that NSSF Retail Range Expo. We will be down there and participating in the education sessions as always, and we'll also be at the NSSF booth to answer your compliance questions. So check that out. It's a great show, a great opportunity to gain more insights on how to improve your business and grow your profits.
Yeah, and all of you pawnbrokers out there who are clients or religious listeners here, hey, stop by my booth. I'll be at the NSSF booth at all of these events. Come by, get free consultation, free advice, free stuff. We love you guys. All right,
And
Dave,
there
how you
is the
feeling?
information on the NSSF Range Retailer Expo.
Yeah, it's a great event, especially like JC said, somebody beginning, thinking about, or new in the business, trying to figure out how to prosper, improve your profitability, what vendors to use, not to use, what everyone else is doing. Come learn, come get educated, and get a jump start on everything you're doing. And veterans too. I mean, if you've been in the business for a while, hey, there's always time to learn and new stuff to learn. All right. If you're going to the NICS, any of those NICS events we just had up on the screen, please contact Eric Moore over at FBI NICS using this email right here, NICS underscore. See that underscore right here? Don't forget that, NICS underscore events at FBI.gov. Send them information with how many attending, seats are limited. You need your FFL name and number, and how many people will be attending. Make sure you get in that door. All right, great. And it's all free. It's all free. So can't miss it. FBI, NICS, ATF, and NSSF all presenting at those events. And FBI NICS updates. JC, what's the update you got?
All right, so stolen firearms check is in progress, and the background check or firearms handler check is also in progress. These things have been hammered out between ATF and FBI NICS. It now sits in the hands of the attorneys. We're told potentially next 30 days. Of course, we've been told potentially next 30 days for the last 2+ years. So, as soon as we know more, we'll get the word out to you all. The stolen firearms database, just so everybody is clear, it will be the ability to check a firearm serial number against the stolen firearm database. Not the lost firearm database, but just the stolen firearm database. The next background check or the handlers check, firearms handlers check, again, that one's been hammered to death. It's with the attorneys. That will give you or afford you the ability to conduct background checks on your employees, so you can make sure that they are not prohibited from possessing a firearm, nor are they prohibited from working at the store. So we'll keep you posted. We're hoping it's coming. That's all we can tell you right now.
Yeah. JC, what's this piece about local law enforcement running checks?
Well, as soon as the
Bipartisan.
bipartisan, thank you, Safer Communities Act was enacted, it did allow local law enforcement, maybe unbeknownst to them, or maybe they know it and just don't want to do it. But you, as an FFL, can contact your local law enforcement agency and ask that they run a serial number against the stolen firearm database. I would tell you to give them a call beforehand, before inundating them with phone calls every time you receive a used firearm, just to see who the proper point of contact is and all that. But local law enforcement does have this capability, and they are charged with that capability under the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. So something that wasn't really publicized out there. So reach out to your local law enforcement, whether that be police department or sheriff's department, to see if they can run that for you.
Yep, and we will have extensive training on both of these programs if and when they roll out.
Yeah.
So that you understand them, can navigate them, get using them real quick, and we'll put that out there for you. We'll have little mini courses set up on our FFLC Academy, so stay tuned on that. Make sure you're registered in the Academy.
We did have eyes on the firearms handlers check form sometime back, but we don't even know how much it's changed, if it's changed, or what they're going to do with that form, etc. So remains to be seen. We'll find out soon enough, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Just a very short true and false session today for the sake of time. Ready? You know the drill. Put a T in your type of T in there in the chat room, or an F for false, T for true, F for false. Ready? Here we go. It's test your knowledge. It's okay not to conduct a regularly scheduled serialized inventory if I have a great receiving and used gun acquisition program. True or false? It's okay not to conduct regularly scheduled inventories. True or false?
So many falses, so many
All
falses.
right,
I
that
got
was
some
an
people
easy one.
putting FFFFF. That's right, it
Listen,
is false.
we have to be, we keep beating this one to death, but guys, I honestly had one last week. Somebody I talk to all the time, and I keep telling this story, because so many of you call us when the ATF shows up and they say, "How's inventory look?" They go, "Well, we did an inventory last July." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're screwed." He goes,
Yeah,
"Maybe."
look, my position on this is you guys are in business. These are business assets. Keep track of the assets of your business. I mean, this is what you're in business to do is sell firearms. And one thing I can tell you for certain, and we had this happen during the last 4 years under Biden and zero tolerance. You don't want the ATF finding your missing firearms. You want to get ahead of that. You want to be sure that you are keeping track of your firearms and that firearms aren't walking out the door without the proper forms and background checks that are required to be completed. So,
And dispositions, right?
yeah, exactly.
And remember, it's still a major violation to be
Yes,
missing
it
them.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, when confused about a firearm transfer or inventory rule, I should access atf.gov to find statutes, laws, open letters, and rulings, or contact a consultant or attorney before proceeding. True or false? If you don't know the answer,
You got
shoot.
all kinds of trues coming in. True, true. Always, you got a question, reach out. I don't even care. You want to reach out to the ATF, reach out to them too. That's fine. If you want to get a good answer, a true answer, reach out to us by all means. If there's something more complicated, which unusually every once in a while somebody throws something at us, we'll coordinate with ATF to get you the proper answer. So, please reach out before you do something silly. Too many times we get FFLs that have done something and they don't reach out, and then all of a sudden it gets caught during an inspection or a week later or a month later on an internal review when all you had to do is pick up the phone and give us a call. So,
Yeah, and we put this up here, guys, because we just went through this whole willful negligence and disregard for rules and regulations. If you have problems on a future inspection, they're going to ask you, "Well, what do you do when you have a problem? What do you?" And you're gonna say, we guess. Well, no, I checked this, I checked that, I call my guy, I call my attorney, we review the open letters, we find the answer. Because if you sit there and say, we don't do all these things, guess what? It's going to be willful negligence. You got to, again, we're trying to steer you away from all the big bad traps that are still out there.
absolutely.
All right, if I misplace or fail to copy a background check number for box 27B on the 4473, it's okay to run a second background check on the customer. True or false? If I misplace or lose or don't document that box in 27B at the time of the background check, it's okay to run it again. True or false?
I got a whole bunch of falses. Oh, you guys have been listening over the years. We appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. We just had one literally this past week.
I had two last week.
Yep, and they were calling to ask, should I just run another background check? And there's a process, and we need to understand the situation. We can't just give you a kind of a global answer. The bottom line is, don't just rerun a background check. There's some steps that you need to take, but we need to take a look at the situation and make a determination of the best course of action. It really depends. Was it over 24 hours? Was it within 24 hours? What was the mistake that was made, etc.? So there are a number of variables that we need to assess before we can give you guidance on which way to go.
Yeah, both of my calls, JC. Well, I had one last week and one a week before. That's why we put this up here. Again, we put up questions that we think are time sensitive. These two FFLs, each one just wanted to know where they log the second number in box 27B with the other one or in box 32. At least they were listening about box 32.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Getting my FFL license revoked in the future will be very difficult. True or false? Getting my license revoked in the future will be very difficult.
We got all the falses coming in. I think that over the last 4 years, we've beat y'all up with information on what to expect and the unfortunate outcomes of some of these inspections. Just remember, keep your foot on that compliance gas pedal. Keep things moving in the proper direction. Keep reaching out to us when you have questions or concerns, and always, 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 take your time. Slow down. when it comes to transactions. We want to make sure that you guys are in compliance, and we want to make sure that every transaction is 100% before that gun goes out the door.
And guys, again, we put this up here because we're spending a lot of time explaining what zero tolerance isn't anymore, but we don't want you to think that you can't get revoked. So,
That's right.
all right. There you go, guys. There's the, if you want to go direct to our Academy course, there it is, courses.fflcacademy.com. Otherwise, just access it right through the top of our website, FFL Consultants. And again, get everybody signed up for that basic training. Now, this one's missing the Colorado training that's up there now. And we will have a bound book coming soon, A&D, all of that stuff, and future. So get registered, get in, become a student, and get your roster in place. All right. Hey, we had a great month. Believe it or not, we had a lot of good ATF inspections. So thank you and congratulations to all of you. Johnny and Britt, you know where you are. Ron, Danny, and Elizabeth, great job over there in Florida. Tara in Ohio, boy, that one came through. That was a big surprise. Congratulations. We didn't think it was going to go as well as it did. Danny, Betty, and Christina down in Mississippi, you guys are calling and doing a great job with all of that business. Unbelievable. Jaime over Mississippi. I think that was the second month in a row. You guys had great performances. Thank you. Good job. Rick and Lane over in Kansas. I was over there last week. Perfect inspection. Awesome for being in business for a solid year. You guys doing great with almost 2,000 transfers. Fabulous, great business. Jason in Louisiana, great job. Cindy and Tim in Michigan. Jeannie in Nebraska, and Tony in Pennsylvania. Fabulous. Keep up the good work. Now, JC and I don't tell you guys, we travel, we listed some place we're going for events, but we're on the road 2 or 3 days a week visiting guys and girls all over the country. So remember, we're available to visit you too. Remember to contact us anytime you have a problem with the ATF question, visit, trace, anything, I want to say litigation or legally connected. You got to be making a right decision on a question or challenge, whether it be with a customer or a law or an out-of-state issue. Hey, just call us. Long story, just call us. All right. And when I say call us, call or text us. A lot of you are still emailing us, and we don't want you email all day. If you email us, I kind of guarantee you, and I'm not going to see it till tomorrow. So feel free to call or text JC or myself. Make sure you have our new phone numbers posted, or the right phone numbers posted on the screen. I'll put it up here and again in a minute. Because if you call our personal cell phones that you may have had the number for years, it goes to a voicemail. But in the event that you call our business numbers that are listed for you, they are business cell phones and they roll over. If JC's busy, I'll take his calls and vice versa. So please make sure you get our 336 numbers, as we call them, in your phones in case you need us and one of us is traveling or unavailable. All right. If most of you, a lot of you, maybe almost half of you on this call are already National Shooting Sports Foundation regular or premium members or retail range members, we have programs for both. We love supporting the National Shooting Sports Foundation. This is the best game in town, cheapest game in town, most solid game in town for you as a gun dealer, new gun dealer, veteran gun dealer. You can only join this program if you are not in adverse action already. So again, if you've gotten in trouble before with the ATF, you can't join this program. They're not supporting bad drivers, so to speak. But if you're a good driver and worried about the future, or worried about turnover or training or compliance and want a mock audit inspection, you want one of us to come out for a day, you want to get in our other programs and training programs, and you want the most important legal defense fund of $25,000 in case you do get in trouble, hey, give us a call, sign up with NSSF. It's not our program, it's the NSSF program, been around for a long, long, long time. It's $2 a day, and it also allows us to come out after the first year. You can have us come out for a discount rate of $9.99 annual. We call them revisits or maintenance visits if you've had turnover again or something happened at the store and you're just not feeling good about that next inspection. We can come out for a discounted visit. So JC, we are going to run into FAQ here. All right, guys, we're ready. I'm going to move this over. But first, let me go ahead and put up this information. I just mentioned about our phone numbers. So if you need our phone numbers, I'm sorry, I said 336. It's the 669 numbers here. JC 720-669-0093, 0092. Again, if one is not available on a plane, in a hearing, doing an audit, on a call, the phone will go to the next person. So you'll always get one of us to answer your call. We have that 24/7, 365 commitment for you. All right, JC, are we ready for rapid fire?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, and guys, thank you for hanging with us. We had so much information today. We know we had to deliver it to you because it's critical. But we're going to run through these. If you can hang with us, thank you. If not, we'll get the recording out to you within a few days, along with that restricted states guide. All right, so Barry wants us to have Dan Driscoll on our webinar. Well, we'll let the NSSF handle that first and see if we can get him to SHOT Show or some other speaking engagement, or maybe get a one-on-one. That'd be cool too. And if we bump into him, of course, we'll go ahead and ask. But
Yeah.
all right, Langford.
We've been lucky before with that, but
Yeah. Some guys do get on. Langford says, any thoughts, insights on whether the DOJ is going to challenge any of the Republic of Colorado's recent litigation?
that remains to be seen. We think that may fall in within the parameters of the Rifle Act. I would definitely anticipate lawsuits coming from the Second Amendment foundations and the GOAs of the world, etc. Rocky Mountain gun owners. Those guys are going to be definitely, hammering that and challenging that, and attempting to get injunctions, etc. So I would see more from them first. We'll see what comes of the Rifle Act. Again, that just entered committee. The text is pretty wide ranging, so we'll see what comes of it.
Yeah, to that point, if you're in Colorado, if you're a Colorado gun dealer or a citizen or to a supporter, get in touch with Rocky Mountain gun owners. Get in touch with GOA. They're two of the folks going after this right now. NRA, they're not there anymore. Second Amendment.
They're trying to get back there, but they're not.
Yeah, Second Amendment Foundation support. A lot of you. I support. We pay. We throw our membership dues in there. Call them. See if you need to. Some of you we know are very good at this. Call and see if you can participate in any of the testimony or witness testimony they need before the House or Senate down there.
Yeah,
at the Capitol.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, if injunctions are put in place by the courts, a lot of times the courts will enjoin whoever is a plaintiff in the case, but it does not necessarily mean that injunction applies to everybody. So the more people that get involved in it, the more people that get behind it, the more likely it is that any cases that are enjoined or whatever the case may be, you may fall within those parameters. So it behooves you to be involved.
Yep. Dan asks regarding a statement made earlier, if an FFL closes at 5 p.m. and waits until 6 for a customer to pick up a firearm, is this a problem regarding posted hours?
No. No, I mean, if you're continuously operating business, until 8 o'clock at night, and it's posted on the sign on the front of your store, that's a different story. But if you stay open for a little longer to allow a customer to come pick up the gun, I'm not worried about that. Like the ATF isn't going to come at 5, 6 o'clock at night, other than to come in and potentially tell you that they're going to be there the next day to conduct an inspection. So.
That may have been in relation to what I was talking about with Colorado. We are not sure that's the same answer. So
yeah, we don't know what's going to come of that.
Colorado said
allowed to operate only during the operating hours that you put forward, or what the case may be.
Yeah, so Colorado, you might be much more strict. So stay tuned on that. Juan says, what's the minimum age to work at a firearm retail store?
There is no minimum age. For minors, individuals under 18 years old, they have to have a permission letter from their parents. It's required to be on their person. Our advice is to make sure you get a copy to keep in the employee file. So legitimately, somebody under 18 can work at a firearms store.
A couple more on that. We always get the question, can someone under 21 sell handguns? Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
And the biggest factor here, JC, is that W-2, right?
Yeah, yeah. W-2 employees, not 1099, not contractor. They have to be a bona fide W-2 employee.
Yeah. Now, and the term work has different definitions. Uh, if your son is 15 and just sweeping the back floors and not conducting
Yeah,
firearm transfers or background checks,
yeah.
yeah,
If they're not involved in the actual activities involving firearms and they're just merely, you know, uh, sweeping up like JB mentioned, that's a different story.
yeah. And the same thing at gun shows. We have family members all the time helping at the gun shows, just watching the guns, but transaction the guns, transaction background checks has to be W-2.
Right.
All right. So Lindsay says if we are in Montana and do not do $20,000 in annual sales to Colorado residents, we don't have to register at all. And the answer is correct.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
only deal with FFL transfers to Colorado residents right now, so it'll be easy to track sales. But if you reach that $20,000 transferring to Colorado residents or shipping to Colorado residents, you will be required. Again, how they figure that out and how they're going to keep track, I have no idea. Um, FFL to Colorado FFL is a sale. Colorado FFL to a Colorado FFL is a sale to a Colorado, and you have to keep track of those. It's frustrating. Yes. So even though you're shipping, if a customer gives you money and they live in Colorado and you're shipping from Kansas or Montana or New York or wherever, you're doing business with a Colorado residents, and you're going to have to collect that 6.5% tax. As you exceed that $20,000 and start paying the tax on that extra income. So and again, if you have questions, no matter where you are, whatever state, call those Colorado Department of Revenue information helpline I posted earlier. I'm not a tax specialist, don't have all the answers. Elizabeth says, are the FBI NICS events held in or open to point of sale states? Oh yeah, that's a no.
Yeah, not point of contact states. If you're a partial point of contact state, then yes, but not full point of contact states. Like they
And
won't
Elizabeth,
hold the NICS retail days in Colorado.
yeah. And Elizabeth, thanks for asking. I've been up there. I haven't, that was a challenge finding your place. But long story short, we, meaning JC and I, we do all the training at those events anyway. And we can repeat all of the material, so you're not really missing out on much. If you get stuck on anything, just give us a call. There's probably nothing we can't answer. So, all right, this website is useful. Thank you very much. Got a lot of F's, a lot of T's. We did some true and false. Let's get back to some more questions. Hang on, there it goes. A lot of true and false, true and false. Imagine if we did a lot of true and false today. So Rick RC says, so for those of us currently in non-restrictive states, how are we supposed to know if a person wanting to purchase ammunition is an out-of-state resident? Are we supposed to ID for every ammo purchase? So those are two good questions, JC.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you need to use your best judgment on this. If you know that you're selling a lot to Colorado residents, of course, facilitating that sale in your state, that is not included in the $20,000, correct, JB?
Correct.
So if you're facilitating the sale to a Colorado resident, goes up to Wyoming and buys 1,000 rounds of firearms ammunition, FAET in the state of Colorado does not apply because the transaction did not take place in the state of Colorado, nor did you ship.
Oh no. Yes, you're right. You have to be shipping into.
Right. You're not shipping into. If you were shipping into the state of Colorado via online sale, then that's a different story than excise taxes due. Okay. If you don't reach the 20,000 threshold, you don't have to pay the FAET. But once you reach that $20,000, then you do. So just use your best judgment. Obviously, if the individual doesn't look old enough to have what would be considered handgun ammunition, you do need to ask the question, what is this for? Right? If they're, an out-of-state resident, you want to enact policy in your business and you want to ask for ID every time you sell, ammunition, do so. There's nothing that says it's required. The only thing you're required to do is ensure that handgun ammunition is only purchased by 21 and up, or if it's being utilized for a rifle or shotgun, that ammunition obviously, or it could be used for either type of firearm. Interchangeable is the word they use. Then you should be, qualifying that customer.
Yeah, in case I was unclear, and JC, thanks for bringing that up. If the Colorado resident walks into your store in another state, you don't charge them the tax because that transaction is not occurring within the state where the tax is required.
Right.
But if you're shipping long guns, if they're buying on Gunbroker, if you're shipping ammo into Colorado, that's where it gets sticky, and you gotta have a mechanism in place allegedly to track those sales and collect the tax and pay the tax. So again, if you have questions like that, please refer to the Department of Revenue Firearms Division. They're very helpful. All right, so did you ever? How do I get another person on my FFL as a responsible person? John asked.
Shoot me an email, but I'll walk you through it. A couple things need to happen. An RP needs to request it. We have a draft letter that we can provide you. It's generic. You just fill in the blanks, so to speak. That person will need to fill out what's called the ATF Form 7 CR. It's Part B of the ATF Form 7. And what the Form 7 looks like. So, that will need to be completed, as well as 2 sets of fingerprint cards, FD 258s, and 2 passport photos. But reach out. Be glad to send you that draft letter.
Yeah. Yep. All right. JRQ says, did you ever go over Washington Measure 114? I got pulled away for a few minutes, then I hear what you said. So the answer is yes, JRQ. It's about the permit to purchase, and it's about a magazine ban. To limit to 10 rounds, not magazine ban, but limit 10 rounds. It is supposed to go live this week, but it's still in litigation, and there's nothing in the news regarding it going live. It's supposed to be 30 days from March 17th, so keep your ear to the ground on that one. There's been opposition to it again, and we're just not sure legally where it is in the review process. So if we find out anything, we're going to try to keep our eye on this one this week. And if we'll push something out to all of you on this list, obviously, and let you know if we hear anything. Greg wants to know, are warning letters sent certified mail?
Yes, typically.
Yeah, definitely. They want to make sure you got it and prove you got it. And if you don't respond to them and talk to them, they're going to come and revoke your license. And Greg, just keep in contact with us on your situation there. Mallory says, when should I expect my first inspection?
The goal, and it's a lofty goal, is 3 to 5 years. But there are a number of variables that play into that. How many trace requests, how many denied transactions, how many overall transactions are you performing? So are you in a less or in a more likely jurisdiction or in an area where there's a lot of gun violence? All these factors play into it, as well as how far are you away from a field office or a field division office? There's so many different things. If you want, reach out via email. I'll be happy to get on the phone with you for a couple minutes, just talk through what's going on with your business so I can kind of give you an idea of expectations as it relates to when you potentially could be inspected. So.
Yep. Yeah, Mallory, I was there, a couple months ago. I guess, I'm in the office next week. I'm here again, and we can chat through, but, make sure
give JB or myself a call for sure.
Yeah, make sure you're using your prep guide. Make sure you have your 2 or 3 person review process in place before transfer gets released.
Yeah, it's very unusual for the ATF to come a year after you're open, unless they have some cause for concern or you're in a high risk area, anything like that. So,
JC, Mallory's in that area. I think I told you what this. With a sign on the door says, "If you smell like marijuana, please do not enter."
Yeah, we have a lot of FFLs that have put those signs up.
All right. Betty says, is it required to get ID on body armor?
That depends on your state, as far as body armor is concerned and what the restrictions are on that.
Okay. All right. Betty, I don't think your state has any restrictions on body armor. It's an easy Google. It's an easy Google search.
Yeah.
go ahead, ask Google.
We don't really keep a database of body armor.
Yeah.
It's not our
And
it's not a
ATF,
federally regulated item typically.
ATF doesn't manage body on them. But
Yeah.
hey, guys, we don't have any more questions, JC.
Really? Wow.
I don't see any more, do you?
No.
Guys, listen, thank you for your time today. And we'll get as much information to you delivered timely as we go throughout the year. A lot happening. Call us if it was information overload today. Call us with any questions. We'll get our restricted states guide and this video out to you very quickly. Give us a day or two or three as we have other things we do. And but hey, tomorrow the restricted states guide will be posted over on our website. With that, we're looking middle of May is either the 12th or the 19th for our next Ask Us Anything. We'll keep you updated, keep you advised, watch your email, and as always, call us if you have any questions. See you soon.
Yeah, thanks to all 120 of you that held on till the end. So
Yes.
we appreciate you, and as always, you need anything, don't hesitate to pick up the phone.
All right. See y'all.